Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Courtney. I am your host, Courtney Carroll. I am your therapist and coach. I'm licensed in Washington State and North Carolina, and I'm here filming at my home in Washington, and I'm so glad you're here. This is episode 16, and I want to say if you've been listening, thank you. The views, everything, it just all is great. And again, always you can like, comment, questions, anything. Follow me on social media, and Let's Talk About Courtney. Yeah, welcome back. So, as everyone probably knows, if you've listened to any of my episodes, these are unscripted. They kind of come to me the day of, if not the morning, or something I've been reading a lot, or conversations or content I've been getting that's pretty consistent with clients. And I kind of think about, hey, what seems important this week to talk about. And again, no script, no nothing. So you will get to know me if you haven't already. And I hope you guys enjoy. So today I thought we'd talk about unpacking suitcases. I made a post about this, a TikTok video about this, and it seems to have gotten some hits and kind of trended a little bit. Nothing crazy. I'm still getting used to social media. And a question I get, I made a little video about it. I'm trying to remember which one it was. And a good question I get is, so we've gone through all these things. If you've listened, I've talked about my divorce. I've talked about separation. I talked about dating, getting engaged, breaking that off, moving. And what happens with all of that? And maybe your experience, like I have a ton of clients that are going through, not a ton, a few clients that are going through divorce. And I have a few clients that have experienced loss and career changes. I have a good friend that's been facing a big career change for herself right now. And I have a good friend that's trying to date someone new, and it's just not what she expected it to be. And she's realizing, like, what am I bringing to the table? Like, how am I ready to date? Am I, what happens with all this crap? You know, am I healed? Am I, like, Courtney, how do you heal? Or if you've gone through all these things, like myself, divorce, losing my mom, losing a few very important people to me, just stages of life, becoming a mom, having a kid. What do you do with all this mess? And I kind of, it's been my metaphor this week. I used to be a flight attendant. So if you don't know that, I used to be a flight attendant. So this is probably where it comes from and it stems from. And I remember as a flight attendant, I used to pack my suitcase so nicely. I personally think I'm one of the best packers. I know how to roll things, how to fit them in. I could pack for, I think I packed for a whole week or 10 days to go to Thailand for my honeymoon. And I think it was just a carry-on and a suitcase, and I made it work. Not a big suitcase, a carry-on over-the-head luggage suitcase. And I realized, even so, and maybe you guys have caught this over the podcast episodes, or if you're my friend, you're my family member, how do I move on? Because like those things still be carried with me. I carry with. And how do I not let that affect me all the time? And I know this sounds surprising, because I have talked about my divorce, and because I have talked about different aspects of my personal life and my challenges and experiences, I am not unhappy. I live a very good life, and not like a crazy wild life, but I'm very content. And although I'm still figuring out everything and navigating uncharted waters, I experience a lot of joy. I love being a mom. I think being a therapist and coach is the coolest job in the world. I literally get to help heal people and work with them and sit with them in the darkness. And there's just nothing more rewarding that I can even imagine that I'll do in my life, especially being a mom to my girl. And so how my heart, I feel like, has not been, or my heart's been broken, and my heart's been very sad, and I'm like holding it, protecting it, just as I'm talking to you. But what hasn't happened is that my heart's changed who I am to my core. And that did not come without a lot of work. I within days of my separation, I was in therapy. I was already in therapy before, and I'm a therapist. Yes, therapist, go see therapy, go to therapy. I knew mending my heart, and I've talked about the stitching before, wasn't going to happen overnight. But what I didn't think about much is how much those experiences would not only continue to grow my heart. I don't know, heart, my daughter does this thing. It's so cute. How do I keep my heart gold light? How do I not let all of this like crumble me, bring me down? And I'm, again, by no means perfect in this. I have bad days. Had a few this year. You guys already know this, last couple months. And how does it like not change me? What I like to think about is we have this suitcase, and I want you to picture just like pulling it out all on the ground. And there's some shit in there that we've gone through that sucks. Maybe, and there's a lot of good stuff here from my marriage. I had a lot of love in my marriage, and then I have a beautiful daughter. Of course I want to keep that stuff. So I kind of want you to think about like sorting your, I'm going to use laundry because it's clothes in a suitcase. And I want you to think about is anger, sadness, like what are those over there? Do we want to carry them with us, or is there something about it we can carry with us? And what fits, what doesn't? And you just got home, you're at the house, you're unpacking your suitcase. What do you want to keep? Okay, well, I want to keep, even though I was hurt and everything in my last relationship, I really love that I was open to love again. Like, I think that's so cool. I got to experience unconditional love and joy and a partner friendship than I have before ever. And I want to keep that part because I want that in my next relationship. But the stuff that was kind of hidden and kind of tucked in, I'm gonna let that shit go. There's a trash can, visualize dumping that in like a basketball. My ex, my marriage, so many great things. Really got pushed from my ex to be a very motivated individual, and I want to bring that piece. I want to bring in the motivation and drive, and I want to keep those pieces. And I, of course, want to keep all the beautiful pieces and memories with my daughter and our love story. Those pieces stay with me. And I also want to keep some of my dark pieces. Why? You're like, Courtney, just throw the other stuff away. What happened there? I honor those pieces. I honor that heart that was shattered and melted and put back together. And I only want to use my forum, my social media, and my stories to help others. And without those stories, I wouldn't be able to help anyone that's going through the same things as me. So I'm going to keep them. But I'm going to keep them because I've worked through them. What does that mean? I'm going to keep the pieces because I did go to the therapy. I did do the things. I am not perfect. There are days where I struggle with different relationships, and especially with my ex. And there are some days where I still feel like things aren't fair, but I'm okay. And if we didn't split up, I wouldn't have had this different experiences in life. It's so wild to even think about a different, like a parallel universe where things would have worked out. You know, it's wild to me. But what I'm going to say is that heartbreak showed me how strong I was. And I like being strong. That going through that, the breakup with my ex-husband, it was so much easier to, in relationships, even when I was dating, like if I saw yellow flags, I'm like, nope. And even my last relationship, a couple yellow flags that turned pretty red, and then I was like, sorry, I can't do this. If I wouldn't have experienced a heartache with my ex-husband, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm keeping that shit. I learned to set boundaries and protect myself, protect my daughter, protect our relationships. And I also learned to become, so funny, I'm on a podcast talking about my personal life, and I've learned to be private as long as it was for good intention. I'm not sharing podcast episodes to rip my ex or anyone else apart. Like, I literally truly am posting this stuff to help people that are going through it too. I can only imagine if someone would have sat me down 2 years ago and been like, so any good coming from this? I hoped good would come from it. But yeah, I am so proud of myself for like standing on my own 2 feet, speaking up. I don't know if I would have ever got encouraged to do a podcast if I really wasn't put in a position to use my experience to help others. So I'm going to keep that stuff. I can go back even further in my life on how I was raised and cultural norms and belief systems. A lot of people have different religious beliefs is what I'm kind of thinking of. I don't have the complete same religious views as my parents, my siblings, my family, my friends, and that's okay. But what I'm going to honor and keep is my love for them and respect for them, and it's okay that we have differences. I'm going to keep all of that. And I'm no longer the younger girl that's going to like fight for myself and being like, no, you have to hear my opinion. They don't have to hear my opinion. So as I've sorted through my suitcase, and these are just a couple of examples, and kind of said, even though through the bad things, I'm going to keep what I learned from them in them. And I'm going to put them in my dresser. I'm going to organize it, get rid of that trash bag. I don't even know if I donate, throw it in the garbage bin. Just like, don't pass that energy or things to people. And then next time you take a trip or start dating or a new career move, like my friend, you have all this good stuff to bring with you. You can pack up an overnight bag and you're ready to go. I know this is a really interesting analogy or metaphor, but not all bad experiences have to crumble us. That does not mean there's not crumbling, humbling, awful moments, because of course there is. But it also means there's good stuff that comes from that. Since leaving my marriage, like, I can help a lot of separation and couples therapy. I actually do a lot of family couples counseling for like post separation and help parents co-parent and like kind of set aside what happened in marriage to help facilitate a good relationship that can lead to hopefully either goals, usually a friendship with the co-parent, but I wouldn't have been able to speak to that or know that without going through it. In so many levels, grief work. Yes, I'm a human, and I think I'm a pretty empathetic person. But working with clients that lose parents and everything, I could have never really empathized to the way I can without losing my mom and my baby cousins, and losing friendships and having clients like, do you really lose friends at 30s, 40s? Yeah, you do. And I've done that, and I share my stories. And I don't pull those stories out because I'm shattered and broken. I share them so I can connect with them so they're not alone. What does that mean for you out there? If you haven't gone to therapy, if you're like, hey, I don't really know what to do, I'm still really hurt, I'm still really mad, I'm still really angry about the situation I am. I'm thinking of a friend that just lost her father. Like, how do you just move on from that? And you don't. You absolutely just don't get to skip the steps and go to healed or being able to pick apart, like I just said, like maybe there's pieces of clothes, like I think of like a half wardrobe, like maybe you keep the pants but not the shirt because that's what benefited you and you carry with you. You're in it. You have to miss your family member. You have to miss your dad. You have to miss your mom. This advice is not for like necessarily the freshly broken up with or going through something advice. It's probably about 6 months to a year after, if I'm being honest. Because if post-separate, like I just remember immediately separating from my ex-husband. If someone's like, oh, well, you're not over it yet, it's been 3 months. No, I was not. Nope, sure was not. It took a long time. I'm still healing in different ways. I don't think I let it affect me as much. And that feels really good. And the reason why, again, is I did the work. I went to therapy. I sought out coaching. I have several mentors. And I stopped necessarily not playing the victim, because I want to use that lightly, but instead of being, I'm going to use the word victim because I feel like that's going to resonate. Instead of being the victim, how do I become the victor? I can't continuously sit with everything that's happened to me. You know, I can't be like, let that lead my life. I had to process it and go through it. Hence why I said, sit down, take the luggage out. What happened? Where's the stories? Was there any good out of it? Good out of it. Let's keep that. Any bad out of it? Let's toss that shit and let it go. Mend, like I talked to last week about mending some of that stitching in your heart, giving your heart time to heal. Yes, sorry, words today. And really embrace everything you've gone through and being like, this is not the end of my story. Hell no. What if I experience this, not necessarily for a reason, but what if there's purpose? Oh, I like that. What if there's purpose in this? Not everyone's a therapist, a coach like me, and that can be like, hey, hard things, I can then go heal others. But maybe you can help your friend go through it because you went through it. Watching my friend, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Watching my friend lose her dad was really hard. Not because it was hard. He was a great man. Because I recognize the pain. I do. I recognize it a lot. And that was, I had just a unique relationship with my mom. Not a great one, but like, she exists in a world without her dad. I'm like, that's tough. But I can sit with her, I can hold her hand and be like, hey, I still love you. And how do we remember the good parts and grieve him and learn to live in a world where he's no longer human form? And we personally believe like his soul's around, and hope that he's close all the time. And how do we not let that crumble her? And I just sit with her in it. So if that's you, you're like, I'm not a therapist, Courtney. I don't know if I want to unpack this and make good use of it. You might not be a podcaster. To be honest, I'm shocked I am. I never in my life thought I would be someone that people go to for divorce or separation. That was never the goal. I actually chose couples therapy because I was so like in love with my ex, and we did a lot of hard work to get through a lot of things, and I just the biggest hope. And then it turned this way, and now I sit with people in it. And I wouldn't have thought even like a year ago like that I would be at where I'm at and working with who I am because of that. And to remind people, hey, there's more. In fact, you'll probably fall in love again. You'll have great life experiences. You'll travel. It doesn't end because of a relationship ending or someone passing or a career change. I have a friend that's really struggling with that, and another client that's like figuring out what to do after school. Like, do I want to do this thing I went to school for? And we don't have to have it all figured out. We just kind of take it as it goes. A career change, that can also be exciting. Gives you a time to reevaluate and think about what you do and don't like. And what should you look into the next job? Do you want to do the same thing? Probably not. I'm thinking of her right now. She does not. And school, just because you specialize in a master's or a bachelor's in a specific topic doesn't mean you can't do like 100 other things under that same umbrella. I mean, again, I'm a therapist. You think I'm only doing this, and yeah, I'm running my social media and creating a podcast to expand what I do, which is great. And I know I'm just using myself because that's my reference point is myself. But where is your life going after everything you've gone through? Do you really, God, if you carry all the shit you've ever gone through and not to the sort technique, and it doesn't have to look exactly how I explain, and you're going on vacation, do you want to bring 6, 7 bags of luggage? No, not at all. You want to bring only what you need or what serves you best. You don't want to feel so heavy all the time. Do you notice how my shoulders just go down? Like, that would be exhausting to carry it all. And by the way, I'm sure if this is resonating, like, I'm sure you are exhausted. Maybe you're tired of carrying the guilt and shame of choices you made, or the grief you feel, the sadness, the loneliness, and you're tired and you want to do something different, but you don't know how. Just start with unpacking. You don't have to carry it all with you. If you're not in therapy, get a therapist. Book with me. Find me, or I will find you someone. If you don't have a form of reference, go to Psychology Today. There are people out there to help you. If you're in school and you're younger, there's school counselors. Just start with the first step. Like, I heard this podcast and unpack luggage. What does that mean? Apparently she's a flight attendant and now she's a therapist. Like, that seems like easier said than done. I want to make it clear. Clearing my luggage and going through my shit was some of the hardest days of my life. Letting go of my anger to my mom for her addictions and her abandonment of her 4 children and her secrets and lies did not happen overnight. But I will make good use of it. As much as I'm sad with that, I can now help people with it. As much as I wish it could have been different, it has actually pushed me into a different direction. I think it's made me a better mom. My daughter is my world. I will never let her feel forgotten or to not feel a priority. I will move my whole life around her. I will do what's best by her, always. And I think my mom would have wanted to, but she couldn't with the capacity she had. But I do. And because of those hardships, it has shaped me into a better mom. Maybe that's you out there, like, you're like, I'm thinking about having kids, but that experience with my parents weren't great. They're divorced, or like they got remarried a bunch of times, blah, blah, blah. You can still have genuine love and you can be a great parent. If you don't have the best reference points, you can reference what didn't work. And that's the good stuff you can keep with you. That's it. That's how you do it. And for whatever reason, I want to stay there for a minute. If you're scared about like being a good parent or whatever that means to you because you didn't have the best example, use what they didn't do to motivate you to do the other. Because you mastered what not to do if that's your experience, right? I think so. I mastered like putting my pride aside away and being like, I'll do anything to make sure she's the happiest. And because my happiness, in my opinion, wasn't my biological mom's priority, And I think that's essential to recognize if you've ever gone through that, or if you're just scared about becoming a parent or not what to do. And again, I have pretty good solid experiences that will tell you like, hey, those hard things happened to me. How do you get over it? I make use of it, It's still part of the suitcase I carry, I'm my daughter's mom, and I'm grateful that I've gone through losing my mom and my experiences as a child and teenager and young adult to model what I don't want to do and to put in perspective what I do. And I think what's hardest is when we go through hard things in the midst of it. It's like in the middle of a storm and you're like, but when does it get better? I think you kind of have to just wait it out. Again, I said earlier, you don't just like unpack your shit and go through it right at the beginning. You kind of have to get to a point where you're more calm and a little bit more self-regulated. And when you get through those 5 stages of grief, because that goes for it, grief work is not exclusive to just death. relationships ending, job, career changes, all these things. Once you get through maybe the denial, the anger, the sadness, like, now I'm ready to talk about it. Hence the podcast talk. Let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about what it's like to go, now that I'm at this other point, I don't want to carry all this shit with me. Court, what can I do? Look at each situation. I've given you a few good examples. I used my mom, my biological mom, her drug addiction and how she kind of went MIA and losing her and her dying. I've used my divorce. I've used my engagement. I've used becoming a mom. Keep those categories in and like label any experience you have and look at it and go through, what do I want to keep from that? What don't I not want? And throw the stuff in the dresser that you do want to keep. And then what in here in the bad, what's triggering me? What's making me not like it? You know, losing my mom, drug addiction. I didn't like going through that at all. Who would? No one would like to go through that. Yeah, no one would. What can I take from that? Anything I can like heal from that? Well, I think I can heal from my mom did the best she could with what she had in those moments of her life. My mom was an addict. And I knew what not to do with my daughter. I will be humbled. I will do anything for my daughter. And that's what she's taught me. So even though I learned it through hard things, I'm going to take those pieces with me. I feel like that this might be getting a little repetitive. I just want to use that as a good example. And with relationships ending, it doesn't matter how it ends. It's like, was there any good in it? Yes, let's keep that. Good memories, good everything. I love that I have good memories with my ex for my daughter and myself. And what did the hard things happen? The infidelity, for example. Like, what did that? It hurt like hell, but like, what can I take? I'm like, whew. I learned to like heal my own heart, to learn not to depend on just one person, but to depend on myself, to find value in myself. And now I can use it in my work. So I'm going to pack that stuff. It's not all bad, right? In fact, I can also send it love and gratitude. Any of those things that you're tossing out, you can send love and gratitude. Like, hey, you served your purpose, but my heart, it needs healing. Let's go. So as we kind of wrap up today, I want to ask you, what do you need unpacking? Maybe you have 4 or 5 big life experiences, traumatic events, and big experiences, and you're like, how do I get to the other side? And again, extend yourself grace. It's going to take time. 6 months to a year, most likely, is most cases of therapy and going through big things. And then just start with one at a time. I recommend earliest to age-wise, earliest to latest, so we can heal that younger child a little bit sooner and work to like, hey, how do we make sense of this later? And I'll probably do another episode about that to kind of explain it in more detail. But it's best to kind of start with younger, because like, when did I learn these things? And then go to the next one, the next one, the next one. And then now that I'm at the end of it, I did my 5 things, or maybe it's 10. I don't know. Maybe it's 2. What does this mean for me? What does this other bag look like? And what do I want my future to look like? If you're like my friends, job changing, career changing, divorce, and all these things, like, what's next? Well, I'm carrying a lot of good things and a lot of good information in my new suitcases. I want to experience joy. I want to experience love. I can have those things even though I went through those things. It's true, you can. And once you get through the healing, you do the unpacking and you do some restructuring. My friends, my family, my clients, like whoever you are out there, strangers. This is when you get to say, what do I want next? Now that I've done that work, now that I've structured my stuff over here, I'm more regulated. What's next? Can this stuff be in good use? Is there purpose with all of this? There's like something like purpose with tragedy. And what can I use it for? And I love that for you. I have just a different experience. Like for me personally, I can easily tell you that's why I'm recording this with you. That's why I'm talking to you. And that's why I post and do everything. It is to use my stories, my experiences to help others out there. Maybe those that don't have access or finances to therapy. This is something you can write at home. I'm looking at a bunch of journals over here. I'm always writing. I'm always working on stuff. And, or even in your phone, your little note section. What are those big life events? Like, what are those things that I need to work through that I've either avoided or put off until now? How do I carry that with the rest of my life without that heaviness? Like, what do I do? Broke them all down. Again, what good, what bad? What are we keeping? What are we tossing? Imagine that the trash bag tossed up, tie it up, toss in a trash can. We're not even donating it. Goodwill's not getting our bad energy. And now that we got the good stuff, we got the good information, we have those experiences that kind of shaped us and built us into who we are, that we found purpose in. What's next? And get curious about it. Lean into it. I think it's going to be fun. I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in, liking my videos, the views. I'm so honored. Sometimes I still think it's crazy I'm doing this. I'm just so grateful to have a voice and to use my experiences and have found purpose into it, and hopes only that it helps you out there. Until next week, guys, let's keep talking about it. Have a great week. Thank you so much.